So this is what we're making, a simple little enameled pendant. We're going to make a simple enameled pendant. This piece of metal, it's copper, 35 long, 20 wide, 0.7 thick. You can use up to 1 mil thick if you want. Round off the edges, drill a hole, make it look the way you want it to look before you start enameling. So do your work, and then we'll clean this up, get ready for enamel. I've got my shape. I drilled a 2 millimeter hole in the corner, and 2 because we want to have enough room for our jump ring to go after we enamel. The enamel will partially fill the hole. Anneal this at this point, pickle it, and rinse it off under the tap using a scrubby anything to just get rid of the oxides. Don't touch the face of the metal, only hold it by its edges. Put your clean prepared metal on a piece of paper. I find the white pages are good for this because you can just bend it afterwards and it's slightly absorbent. Now you need to coat this first with a organic glue. This is Clear Fire and water 50-50. It's available at all enameling shops. If you don't have that, what you can do is you can use hairspray. Squirt the hairspray on while it's still liquid, put your enamel powder on. Be careful if you do this because it's flammable, it'll burn. So we'll do it the old traditional way first. We want this damp. We don't want the glue running off, but damp enough to hold the enamel. And the enamel is ground up glass. Now, if we're going to use transparent colors, we want to put a flux on first, which is just clear enamel. If it's opaque, we can just go straight onto this with the opaque enamel. So I'm going to put a black base on this one. Now you want your enamel to go right to the edge of the metal, and the rule of thumb is it should be about the same thickness as the metal. So not too much, but just make sure you cover all of it. So now we're going to transfer this to a metal screen. So make sure the hole is clear, because you can't drill this out afterwards after you fire this enamel. Well, you could, but you'd have to use a diamond drill because the glass is harder than a normal drill bit. So let this dry. Normally you'd put it on a hot plate or next to a kiln. Let it dry, and then we'll fire it. Okay, I'm going to fire this from underneath. I've got my Smith's Mini Torch with a number 7 tip and a fairly big flame. And I'm about 75 mil away, just brushing this from end to end. And you'll see the glass powder change as it starts to melt. And basically we're just melting the glass powder into the metal. You can see it getting darker here, slightly granulated. Now that's fused at that point, but we'll keep going until it's nice and smooth and the metal is a dull red. So at that point we'll stop, let this cool, and then we'll put a second color on. Now you always have to let this cool to see what the color is going to be. It will never be apparent until it's completely cool. Don't quench it. If you quench it, you'll crack the enamel. Just let it cool. Once your piece is cool to the touch, put it back on the paper. A clean sheet of paper, because any leftover enamel we want to be able to put back in the bottle. So if you always use a clean piece of paper, you won't contaminate your enamels. So a little bit of Clearfire on. Now what I'm going to do for this is what they call sgraffito, which just means to scratch. So I'm going to put a different color on top. And once again, we want to make sure we have good coverage. And now I'm just going to take a scribe and scratch a design in. Now, once again, back on the screen, let it dry, and then we'll fire it. Okay, it's dry. Once again, fairly big flame, about 75 mil away. And we're just going to do the same thing, heat it up until the enamel goes nice and smooth. So there we are. Let it cool, and then you'll have a nice little pattern. Now, at this point, this is done. But the thing about enameling is you can reheat these any number of times. So if you want to keep adding colors, if you want to keep making changes, feel free to do so. Wait until this is cool, and then pickle it to get the oxides off the back, and it's done. Nice and simple. Torch-fired enameling. So this is what we're making. A simple little enameled pendant.